Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Joe Biden and Donald Trump face off in the first US presidential debate of 2024 election. Spar over economy, abortion rights, conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza. Iran opens voting to elect late President Ibrahim Raisi's successor. Raisi died in a helicopter crash on May 19. World's largest maritime drills begin in an increasingly tense Asia-Pacific. US Pacific Fleet hosting Rim of the Pacific, bringing together the armed forces of 29 countries. Rain mayhem in Delhi. Heavy downpour hits normal life, leaves roads flooded. One dead and several injured after roof collapsed at Indira Gandhi International Airport. US President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump had their first face-off in 2024 election cycle. The two rivals did not even shake hands as they took their positions at podiums just feet apart in a studio with no live audience. They tried to reshape the political narrative as they battled over economic issues, foreign policy and international crisis, the country's immigration crisis and the state of American democracy. The candidates kicked off the debate by slamming each other's records on the economy, immigration, foreign policy and abortion rights. The stakes were high as both men come face to face for the first time in almost 4 years to try and convince voters they should back them on 5th of November. This is the second time Biden, a Democrat, Trump, a Republican, challenged each other for the White House after Trump lost in 2020. The debate was fiery, with both the leaders pointing fingers at each other. On issue of abortion rights, both leaders expressed their opinions.
Radical, because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Well, this is what Biden replied on the issue of abortion after Trump's response.
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule.
On the issue of Roe versus Wade being brought back or not, Trump called the diplomats as radicals and Biden negated the conjecture.
He's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans. Sure.
Biden defends Russia, Middle East and Afghanistan policies, claims Trump gave Putin free rein on Ukraine.
As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
In Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops.
On the Gaza issue, Trump criticized Biden for trying to hold Israel back from winning, while Biden said his plan included trading the hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners.
As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
Trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are two different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden.
All right, indeed, India correspondent Mitch McCann joins us from New York to talk more on this. Hello, Mitch. We have seen the debate, and we've also seen how both Trump and Biden pointed out fingers at each other on various issues. But it's ultimately the voters who will decide the next president. What are they saying? Which side are they on?
Well, good evening. Nice to be with you after this debate, which really was an interesting insight to see how the United States will be moving forward in the coming months as it approaches that US election on the 5th of November. The big headline out of this tonight is that there is great concern about Joe Biden's performance, whether or not he should be continuing as the Democratic nominee for president. Within minutes of the debate starting tonight, Joe Biden was stumbling over his words and his voice appeared hoarse at one point during the debate. The Democratic Party behind the scenes said that he had a cold. So it wasn't good news for Joe Biden. So there's been a lot of discussion tonight around whether or not he can stay on.
Okay, and how's the public reaction? This is what I was asking earlier as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's been polls taken after the debate tonight talking about the public reaction, polling people on how they feel. And the last poll I saw had Donald Trump around 67% in favour of Donald Trump and around 33% in favour of Joe Biden. So what I was saying there is it really gives you an indication that the public is concerned about Joe Biden going forward. But it's also Democrats within the party who are also concerned. People saying tonight from the Democratic National Committee, one person has called for Biden to end his campaign, saying now would be a good time for Biden to drop out, citing health concerns. And a prominent donor to the Democrats who's given a lot of money said, do we have time to put somebody else in there? So it gives you an indication, both the public and Democrats behind the scenes concerned about Biden.
Okay, Mitch, have there been any quick polls or surveys conducted post-debate? And if so, what do they indicate about public opinion?
Yeah, well, look, it is early days, but as I mentioned, I have seen one that shows Donald Trump really far ahead of Joe Biden. There were some polls, some live polls actually being broadcast on social media during the debate itself. And that showed that Trump was doing well there as well. Now, there has been some defense for Joe Biden. It's not all bad tonight. Kamala Harris, the vice president, has come out and said, yeah, it was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And she said that Donald Trump and Joe Biden really made a contrast between what Donald Trump wants to bring to the country if he becomes president as well. So some support there from the vice president of Joe Biden tonight.
Okay, slow start and strong finish. This is what Kamala Harris said. And as per your analysis, things are not going fine with Joe Biden, as far as this debate is concerned. But thank you so much. We'll keep taking updates from you. Thank you, Mitch. EU leaders have nominated current European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen for a second 5-year term in Bloc's top job at a summit in Brussels. Von der Leyen's nomination still needs approval from the European Parliament in a secret ballot widely seen as a trickier proposition than her endorsement by EU leaders. Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas was picked as EU's next foreign affairs chief, and former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa was chosen as the next chairman of EU summits. The leadership package represents continuity at the top of bloc of some 450 million people, with centrist pro-EU factions keeping hold of top posts despite a far-right surge in elections to the European Parliament earlier this month. In an era of increased tension and growing competition between China and the United States and its allies, the US Pacific Fleet is hosting Rim of the Pacific, the world's largest international maritime exercise in Hawaii. Held every other year, Rim of the Pacific this year brings together the armed forces of 29 countries for 5 weeks of training with the goal of strengthening multilateral relations and enhancing preparedness to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. The exercise centers around combat and contingency training on land, in the air and at sea as well, with 150 aircraft, 40 surface ships, 3 submarines and more than 25,000 personnel conducting amphibious landings, urban combat training, anti-submarine warfare, ship sinking exercises as well as cyber and space operations. In a press conference on Thursday, Bolivian government minister Eduardo del Castillo said 17 people had been detained so far following a coup attempt. The failed coup on Wednesday happened over just a few hours and provoked swift condemnations from world leaders, raising fears that democracy in the Andean nation remains at risk. Del Castillo added that according to a police investigation, the attempted coup had been planned since May. The former commander, Juan Jose Zuniga, was arrested, as well as former Navy Commander Juan Ernest Salvador, Del Castillo said. Despite the government's withdrawal of a contentious finance bill, protests continued across Kenya, highlighting deeper issues in the country. Protesters took to the streets against the bill, which was aimed at increases taxes to reduce debt. The demonstrators also demanded President William Ruto's resignation. Political analysts say that the protests were merely a trigger that highlighted the deeper systematic issues that Kenyans have been facing, especially since Ruto came into power. Iranians are voting for a new president on Friday following Ibrahim Raisi's death in a helicopter crash. 4 candidates are in the fray. They were vetted by a Guardian Council which oversees elections in the country. A runoff between the top 2 contenders will be held if no candidate is able to get over 50% of votes. While the poll is unlikely to bring a major shift in the Islamic Republic's policies, the outcome could influence the succession to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Wildfires are once again ravaging the Arctic Circle of North Russia. It's the 3rd time in the past 5 years that high-intensity fires have swept across the region. Copernicus reported higher air temperatures and drier conditions in Sakha, Russia, which are rendering the ideal conditions for wildfires once there is a spark. Russian authorities says that more than 160 wildfires in the Republic had affected nearly 460,000 hectares till June 24. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Bursting myths related to new criminal laws which soon to be implemented. All arrangements in place for the commencement of 52-day-long Amarnath Yatra. Germany set for a big weekend of football as final 16 of Euro 2024 kicks off across the country.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. As the first Parliament session of the 18th Lok Sabha enters its fifth day, issues like the NEET exam paper leak are expected to dominate much of the session. Bharatiya Janata Party leader Anurag Thakur will move the motion of thanks on the President's address in Lok Sabha on Friday. According to a Lok Sabha bulletin, BJP MP Bansuri Swaraj will second the motion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to reply on July 2. In Rajya Sabha, BJP Sudhanshu Trivedi will move the motion on Friday and the Prime Minister could respond to the debate on July 3. The Indian Parliament passed 3 new criminal laws, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam to replace the Indian Penal Code 1860, the Criminal Procedure Code 1973 and the Indian Evidence Act 1892. These are soon to be implemented. There are some myths related to these and DD India bursts them for you.
The newly enacted laws Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Act, which will completely overhaul the criminal justice system in the country, will come into effect from July 1st this year. The 3 laws got the Parliament's approval on December 21st last year and President Draupadi Murmu gave her assent on December 25th. The laws will replace the colonial era Indian Penal Code, the Code of Criminal Procedure and the Indian Evidence Act of 1872 respectively. The 3 legislations aim at completely overhauling the criminal justice system in the country by giving definitions of various offences and their punishments. However, the provision related to cases of hit and run by vehicle drivers will not be implemented immediately. There are several myths related to these 3 laws. A myth about the laws is that there is harsh punishment of 10 years of imprisonment with 10 lakh rupee fine in hit and run cases. However, the truth is that to enhance road safety and justice for victims, the new laws introduce intensified penalties to curb the rising incidence of hit and run accidents. The law provides gradation of punishment in hit and run cases. The amount of fine being rupees 10 lakh is completely false. The enhanced punishment of 10 years is for those who escape without reporting the hit and run cases. And the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India has taken note of the concerns raised by truckers regarding the provision of 10 years imprisonment and fines. The decision to invoke Section 106, Part 2 will only be taken after consultation with the All India Motor Transport Congress.
The first batch of Amarnath Yatra pilgrims flagged off for Kashmir on Friday from Jammu. Amid tight security, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha flagged off the first batch of the Yatra. The annual pilgrimage to the holy shrine nestled in the majestic South Kashmir Himalaya will begin from the 48 kilometers Nunwan-Pahalgam route in Anantnag and 14-kilometer treacherous Baltal route in Ganderbal on Saturday. In the backdrop of fresh spate of terror attacks, the civil and police administration have made unparalleled arrangements both in terms of security, logistics, registration and other facilities to make Yatra a peaceful, incident-free and memorable experience for pilgrims. And after persistent scorching heat, India's national capital finally received incessant rainfall, marking a fresh start of Friday. Parts of Delhi received spells of heavy rainfall, bringing much-needed respite from sweltering heat. The India Meteorological Department has forecasted the weather for next 7 days in Delhi, predicting generally cloudy skies and varying intensities of rain accompanied by gusty winds. with temperatures similar to previous day and wind speeds reaching up to 35 km per hour. And one person died and several other injured after a section of roof at Terminal 1 of Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport collapsed due to heavy downpour on Friday. Several cars were hit by parts of the roof that collapsed on them at the T1. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu has announced a thorough inspection of the structure at the airport and a compensation of rupees 20 lakh to the family of the deceased and rupees 3 lakh to the injured people.
Compensation has also been announced, 20 lakh for the deceased and also for the injured 3 lakhs. From 2 o'clock, whatever routes are being operated from T1 have been diverted to T2 and T3. So necessary arrangements are being made at T2 and T3 so that the passengers wouldn't face any inconvenience as of such.
All right, and DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us on the broadcast to tell more about what's happening in Delhi. Akshay, very quickly, first tell us regarding the overall situation after heavy rains lashed parts of Delhi.
Well, Siddharth, as of now, we have received about 228 millimeters of rainfall within a span of 24 hours. Now, this is likely to be second highest since 1936. It was in 1936 when Delhi had received rainfall of about 235 millimeters in the month of June. So this is second highest since then that Delhi has received this kind of rainfall for the month of June. But right now, fortunately, the rains have stopped. It has subsided in several parts of Delhi and NCR region, and that has provided much needed respite to the people of Delhi. In fact, I would like to ask my camera person to pan around and show that the situation is slowly normalizing, but this is just in the central part of Delhi. There are several such areas in Delhi that are low-lying areas where water logging has been reported. It has been reported since yesterday. However, after the overnight rain, it has become worse. In fact, what we are seeing here is the traffic running smoothly, but this is not the situation all across Delhi, where civil apathy once again has caused a lot of traffic jams, traffic snarls, people getting late to office, vehicles breaking down on the roads because of bad condition of roads, water logging, and all of these kind of issues once again because of the kind of rain that Delhi has received in a short span of time. Siddharth, back to you.
Akshay, one person dead and several injured after a section of roof at T1 of Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport collapsed. What's the latest you are getting on this? What's the current situation there?
Absolutely. Well, the focus was to ensure that the debris is removed from the vehicles that were buried down under this debris after the sheet, and not just the sheet of the outer part of the airport, but also the pillars that were supporting this heavy sheet. They all collapsed on the vehicles that were parked in that parking area, and one person is reportedly dead. About 6 people are injured, and what we have heard recently from the Union Aviation Minister is that an ex gratia amount of about 20 lakh rupees for the deceased person, about 3 lakh rupees, that is 300,000 rupees for the injured people has been announced. However, an investigation has also been launched to ensure that no such similar incident take place in the future. The Union Aviation Ministry has taken a very serious note of the incident, that this is part of a state-of-the-art technology, state-of-the-art infrastructure that has collapsed. This is Terminal 1 of the Indira Gandhi International Airport we are talking about, one of the largest airports across the country. And why this happened, how this happened, and what can be done to prevent such similar incidents in future, all of these aspects will be looked at. But it's not just at the IGI airport. In the Vasant Vihar area of South Delhi as well, we are hearing that a wall of an under construction building collapsed, and 6 workers at the site were also trapped into the debris. So any such incident, when it is reported to the authorities, the first effort of the authorities is to ensure that the evacuation of these people takes place. That was the modus operandi at the Terminal 1 of the IGI airport as well. But as the departure of all the flights were cancelled or rather postponed. All of these flights are being accommodated to Terminal 2 and Terminal 3, which can in fact result into delays of flights and cancelling of flights as well.
Okay. Thorough inspection has been ordered by India's Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu.
Absolutely.
And also, we certainly hope that situation at Terminal 1 of IGI Airport becomes normal as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Akshay, for your analysis. Well, Germany is set for a big weekend of football as the final 16 of Euro 2024 kicks off across the country. The European tournament has seen football fans from across the world flock to host cities including Berlin. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.